Good morning and a very warm welcome to this third session of workshop, student-centered learning, teaching and learning workshop being organized by Parimal and Pramod Chaudhary Center for Learning and Teaching. So today the first lecture is going to be delivered together by Professor V.M.Gadre and Professor Nithyanand Prabhu. Professor Vikram.M.Gadre is Professor of Electrical Engineering at IIT Bombay. He did his BTech and PhD both from IIT Delhi. His research interests are communication and signal processing, theory and applications. He was head of education technology and also CD, and he held a position of associate dean of academic programs. He was the initial faculty coordinator of the student mentor program. Nithyanand Prabhu is professor of metallurgical and materials science department. He did his BTech from IIT Bombay and both MS and PhD from Carnegie Mellon University. His research interests are in phase transformation, structure, property relationships, and electron microscopy. Professor Prabhu was head of MEMS, and he has been faculty coordinator of student mentor program since 2009 when he took over from Professor Gadre. So with this brief introduction, I'm handing over this session to both of them to talk about the student-faculty collaboration ecosystem that exists in IIT Bombay. Over to Professor Prabhu and Professor Gadre.
Hope it is recording, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning to you all. Professor Gadre and I would first of all like to thank Professor Patwardhan for giving us this opportunity to make this presentation in this workshop on student-centered teaching and learning. The title of the presentation today is the Student Mentor Program, Student-Faculty Interaction Ecosystem at IIT Bombay. It is not allowed to.
Not changing the slides.
Not changing the slides. Okay, here. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
So I think I'll have to go here and change. The reputation of any institute is largely built by the faculty members. They are directly involved in educating the students and transforming them into productive and responsible members of the society. Now, in addition to pursuing research, they are also involved in the day-to-day administration of the institute. But due to a variety of reasons, Indian technical institutes have always suffered from a lack or shortage of faculty members. Even as per the newspaper reports, even in IIT system, there is a shortage of as much as 40%. So the question is, how do we achieve institutional objectives given the shortage of faculty members? Institutional objectives such as providing teaching assistance to different courses, encouraging extracurricular activities among the students, helping students prepare for a placement and a career, or providing a platform for the students to interact and promote their personal and professional. These are only some small set of institutional objectives that I have put here. So the way to go could perhaps be to multiply the faculty efforts through faculty-student collaboration. And Student Mentor Program is a very good example of students' involvement in activities which promote institutional objectives. So Student Mentor Program is actually a faculty-student collaborative model developed at IIT Bombay. It aims to provide effective support system for the students in need. Now, having said this, our Student Mentor Program started somewhere around 2001, but whereas our institute itself is much older than. Our institute started in 1958. And does that mean that we did not have an effective support system for the students before the Student Mentor Program? Well, actually, no. We did have a very effective support system. And that effective support system was the faculty host system. Under this system, every new entrant to the institute was actually assigned a faculty host. So much so that the name of the faculty host used to be mentioned in the admission letter itself. So before the new entrant joined the institute, the new entrant knew as to who his faculty host was and whom he could rely on if he required any help. In fact, on the very first day during the orientation, the director would actually encourage all the new entrants to develop a close rapport with their host family. Now, for the students, this faculty host system was really a boon. But the reason being that it provided them a home away from home. But you can well understand why or how it became unviable. With increase in the number of students, it was not possible to run this faculty host system. In fact, when the faculty host system was prevalent, we had somewhere around 200 to 250 students joining the undergraduate program, and a smaller number than 250 used to join the postgraduate program. But today we have close to 1,300 students joining the undergraduate program and more than this number joining the postgraduate. So you can well understand why over the period of time this system, faculty host system, became unviable. And that is when we decided to collaborate with the system and build a system where the senior students under the guidance of a faculty member would help the new entrants to adjust to the life here on campus. I'll just give you a quick background and sort of discuss the evolution of the student mentor program. Our student mentor program did not start off the way it is today. In fact, it started as an informal arrangement that was put in place by the then Dean of Student Affairs, Professor U.B. Desai, who went on later on to become the first director of IIT Hyderabad and who has now completed successfully his 2 terms as the director of IIT Hyderabad. So this informal arrangement was put in place by Professor U.B. Desai primarily to combat ragging, which was quite prevalent in those times during the year 2001. And slowly, this evolved into a full-fledged program. So this informal arrangement evolved into a full-fledged student mentor program under the guidance of Professor Vikram.M.Gadre, who was the first faculty coordinator. Professor Gadre was not only responsible for laying the foundation for this program, but he was also responsible for carefully nurturing the program during the early years. Of course, thanks also to many students who took on the leadership and mentoring roles in the student mentor program. They volunteered and took on this leadership and mentoring roles, thereby setting a glorious example of selfless service to the community. Now, student mentor program is not just one program. It is actually consisting of several programs. And I will just list out these programs for you to give you a glimpse of what student mentor program is all about. We have one wing which is called the Institute Student Mentor Program, ISMP. This program serves as a channel of constructive interaction between the freshmen and the senior students. So that is, this is a program that actually mentors our undergraduate student, the new entrants to undergraduate program. Then we have the Department Academic Mentorship Program, which serves to provide the academic mentorship for the junior students with academic difficulties and also provides mentorship to all the second year students with BTech program. That is all the new entrants into their respective departments. And then we have a preparatory mentorship program, which is currently suspended because the preparatory program currently does not run in all IITs. It probably runs in just 1 or 2 IITs. So the preparatory mentorship program is currently suspended. So we have 2 programs for the undergraduate student. One is the ISMP, which provides mentorship to the new entrants to the undergraduate program, and the DM, which provides mentorship to the students with academic difficulties, and also to the students, and also to all the students who are the new entrants to the respective department, that is the second year students. Now, just to give you a background about the DM, Department Academic Mentorship Program. So the DM was born, it was initiated somewhere around 2006 due to the sustained efforts of Professor Narayanan in the electrical engineering department. Around the time 2005, there were a few students in the electrical engineering department who were on the verge of being asked to leave the institute because their performance had gone below the acceptable levels. It is then that these students approached Professor Narayanan and sought his help. And Professor Narayanan then decided to take these students under his fold and successfully mentored these students. And then they went on to do well for themselves. So soon this word spread to the students of other departments, and students of other departments also decided to approach Professor Narayanan and seek his help. Professor Narayanan then asked some of the senior students in these departments to mentor these junior students with academic difficulties under his guidance, and thus was born the Department Academic Mentorship Program. This program has affected quite a few success stories of students who had reached a point of no return, that is, who were on the verge of being asked to leave the institute. But once they were enabled by the Department Academic Mentorship Program, they started doing well, not only on academic fronts, but also on personal and professional fronts. We have two other programs which are for the postgraduate students. That is the Institute Student Companion Program, which is actually guides the new entrants into our master's program. And then we have the Institute Research Scholars Companion Program, IRSCP, which provides a platform for the research scholars to interact with each other and help in their personal and professional growth. Now, you would notice that the postgraduate programs are not called as the mentoring program, they are called as companion programs. The reason we felt it should not be called like a mentoring program is because the postgraduate students, they require help, not in the conventional way the undergraduate students require help. What they require is perhaps a companion with whom they can discuss their problems and seek help and guidance if required. So therefore, these two programs, the programs for the postgraduate students, are referred to as the companion programs. Okay. Now let me just tell you what is student mentor program and why is this student mentor program required. Student mentor program, as you would have guessed by now, it's an academic and a social support system for all the students on campus, and of course, in particular, for the new entrants to the campus. It works towards motivating the students to excel in both academic as well as non-academic fields, and encourages the new entrants to make the most of their stay at IIT Bombay. Of course, if you notice this particular objective, encouraging new entrants to make the most of their stay at IIT Bombay, this particular objective is shared by several other student bodies as well as clubs which are there under the Students' Gymkhana. So how is the student mentor program different from these clubs or these student bodies? Well, first of all, this student mentor program comes directly under the Dean of Academic Programs with an indirect link to the Dean of Student Affairs. And in fact, this particular program is enshrined in the governance structure of the institute. So this program is different from the clubs or other student bodies which exist on campus. Now, before we understand why student mentor program is required, we need to first of all understand what are the issues faced by the new entrants. I have classified these issues faced by new entrants into 4 different verticals. One is the issue related to academics. Now, getting accustomed to the IIT Bombay academic rigor and the stiff competition in the class can be an issue for several students. The students who join IIT Bombay have always topped their class. They have always stood first among their peers. And when they join IIT Bombay, it is not possible for every one of them to be topping the class. Right? So some of them find it difficult to get grades. They may have got good grades, but they find it difficult to get grades that meet their expectations. In fact, in IIT, they are surrounded by several high achievers, and some require help and guidance to succeed in this competitive environment. The second issue, although not directly related to academics, is the issue of managing innumerable extracurricular activities along with academics. In fact, many of the faculty members who are listening to me might have just joined recently over the past 1 year and may not have seen the campus with all the students living on campus. But once the institute opens up and all the students are back on campus, you will realize that this is a very vibrant campus. In fact, even if you take a walk at, let's say, at midnight, 12 at night, you take a walk in the campus, you will see that the floodlights are on and students are playing tennis, they are playing cricket, they're playing football, they're practicing music. And in fact, the lights are all on in different rooms in the hostel. And you would see that the students are, having some social activity or sports activity, cultural activity, technical activity, a lot of activities going on in between the wings. And of course, we have several student competitions which are, which go on throughout the year. The intra-hostel competition, the inter-wing competition, the inter-hostel competition, and even in inter-IIT level competition. So the question is that when you have so many extracurricular activities going on, it is very easy for a new entrant to lose focus on academics and get too much involved in these activities. Professor Gadre has a very effective way, very impactful way of explaining this to the students. Professor Gadre says, well, assign a number 1 to the academics, assign number 0 to social activities, sports activities, cultural activities, technical activities. But as long as you place 1 before the zeros, that is, as long as you give priority to academics and also participate in social activities, sports, cultural, technical activities, the value of your biodata will go up several times. But what is the use of participating in all these activities, social, sports, cultural, etc., and giving last priority to academics, which would mean that you're placing all the zeros before the 1, the value of your biodata would not increase. So this is a very effective way of explaining this to the new entrants, and the new entrants, take this message very easy. Then there is the issue related to emotional well-being. Many of the students before joining IIT Bombay, they have spent considerable amount of time attending these the coaching classes. And in the coaching classes, there are only, there is one word that is repeated very often, and that word is compete, compete, compete. There is never any time when the word collaborate is used. Perhaps they're not exposed to what, they don't know what is meant by collaboration. And over the period of time that they have spent in these coaching classes, they have also learned to, sort of mistrust their peers. So when they join IIT Bombay, they now need to build relationships of trust with their peers. And many of them find it difficult to build this relationship of trust with their peers. Then being able to overcome feelings of loneliness, homesickness, and missing loved ones is a common issue, especially during the very first semester, because they're staying away from their homes for a lengthy period of time. Then there is the issue of being able to make independent decisions for the very first time in their lives. How serious this issue was brought home a few years ago. There was a student in the first year who used to, who was absent in the first 2 lectures, 8:30 class as well as 9:30 class. He would not attend those lectures. This was noticed by his mentor. And the mentor asked him as to why he was not attending the classes. And the student replied that, well, he could not get up in time, and that's the reason why he is absent in the 8:30 as well as the 9:30 class. But the mentor suspected that there was probably something more to this, and mentor suggested that the student and he go and talk to the counselor. So when the counselor asked the student as to why he is not attending the morning classes, the student said that there is nobody to wake him up in the hostel. Surprised, the counselor decided to probe him further, and then gradually what emerged is that when the student was studying in his 11th standard and 12th standard, it was always the student's mother who would wake him up, and not just wake him up, the student's mother used to actually prepare a list of activities for the student to do after he gets up in the morning. So what the student was probably trying to say here is that there is nobody to tell him what are the priority activities that he needs to perform when he gets up in the morning. So there are a few students like this who face this issue, which is related to an emotional well-being, and then there are these issues related to environmental adjustment. Many of the students, they come from rather conservative families. There is a restriction there as to what time they have their dinner. There is a restriction on what time the students need to go to bed, or the children need to go to bed, what time they need to get up, etc. Now, when they come to the campus, they find that the campus life is very demanding, academically demanding, but the campus life is very unrestricted. Unrestricted way of life. There is nobody to tell you as to what time you should have your dinner, what time you should go to bed, what time you should get up in the morning. So some students find this transition from a restricted way of life that they led in their homes to this unrestricted way of life that they have to lead on campus. So this is an issue that is related to environmental adjustment. Then there is the issue of getting used to hostel life in general and a roommate in particular. this issue of getting used to a roommate in particular is quite, more than the student, it is a parent who has this issue with the roommate. A few years ago, we had a mother who was arguing with the dean as to why her son has been paired up, right, with a student who had a much lower All India rank. And the dean had to explain to the mother that the All India ranks are used to assign different branches. But once this activity is over, the assignment is over, assigning the different streams is over, the All India rank ceases to have any significance. So this is one of the issues that the new entrant faces. And then there is the issue of managing the anxiety and excitement associated with living in a new environment, managing the lows and highs of living in a new environment, relocating to a new place. Of course, many of us also experience this. And it's not surprising that a young student would also experience this when he comes to campus. Then there are issues related to medium of instruction. Many of the students who join IIT Bombay come from vernacular backgrounds. They have not had any formal training in English language. And as a result, they find it, they find that they are unable to comprehend or communicate effectively in English. How serious this problem was came to my notice when I was the head of the department some years ago. A faculty member who was the faculty advisor for the first year students, one day he knocked on my door and mentioned to me that there are three other students, there are three students waiting outside, and these three students, to whom he is the faculty advisor, had failed in every single course that they registered for in the first semester. He said that he's been trying to talk to them and ask them as to what the difficulties they faced, but he said that they refused to open their mouths. Now it is for you to talk to them and find out the reason. So saying, he left the cabin. That is when I called these three students into the cabin, asked them to sit down comfortably, and then I only asked them, "Kya baat hai?" And immediately one student, he looked up and he said, "Sir, हमें अंग्रेजी समझ में नहीं आती." So there you go. You have students who have difficulty understanding what is being taught in the class. Initially, of course, these students make an attempt. Initially, they do attend the classes, but they find it very difficult to comprehend. They find it difficult to learn what is going on in the class. And slowly, as the semester progresses, attending the lectures becomes rather unpleasant to them. And consequently, their academic performance in courses suffers. And by the end of the semester, the performance has gone far below acceptable levels. Of course, if this was the only problem, one could still retrieve the situation. But the problem is that this poor academic performance is compounded by loss of confidence and self-esteem. And that is when it becomes a difficult problem, and it becomes a difficult problem, or a challenging problem to handle. So how do we prepare the new entrants? We first of all make the new entrants aware of the challenges before them. We tell them that there is no reason to be alarmed. In fact, we tell them that their seniors have also faced similar challenges, but they have successfully overcome those challenges and went on to do well for themselves. So some mental preparation would certainly help. At IIT Bombay, we believe the importance of academics lies in how well it allows the student to develop into a confident individual. And the motto for the student mentor program is that every student is capable of putting in his or her best, and it is important to work with the student to make this happen. So this is the motto for the student mentor program. Now I will just quickly go over the objectives of the student mentor program. I will list out the objectives of the student mentor program. But before that, I thought we should appreciate one very important point. And this point is that the students who join IIT Bombay come from varied backgrounds. So we need to keep this in mind. They come from varied backgrounds. When we say varied backgrounds, varied economic backgrounds, varied social backgrounds, varied education backgrounds, varied cultural backgrounds. And it is no surprise that at the time of admissions, you see all these headlines in the newspapers. JEE Advanced 2017, Mumbai auto drivers customers help an 18-year-old son clear the entrance test. Dream turnaround, farmer son cracks JEE Advanced. Auto rickshaw driver's son from Ranchi cracks IIT JEE. A little help puts the cobbler's son in IIT. So these are, we are delighted to see all these headlines. We're delighted to see that students are coming from varied backgrounds and they're getting the best students. The really intelligent students are the ones who are joining IIT Bombay. So we need to just keep this in mind that students who join IIT Bombay come from various backgrounds. And now let me list out the objectives of the student. First, help the new entrants to adjust to the life they want campus. Help the students to understand the challenges as well as the opportunities which exist at IIT. And towards this end, we feel that the first semester is crucial. And if the students have a mentor to discuss their problems, it will be of immense help. The second objective, to provide a platform for the students to interact with their seniors and seek help and guidance if required. A mentor who's been part of this IIT system for quite some time, maybe couple of years, 2 or 3 years, can help these new entrants with focused academic inputs. The third objective is to provide positive role models. Right? Provide positive role models and thereby reduce or eliminate the effect of wrong influences. Mentors help the new entrants cope with any academic and personal problems they face and inculcate this right attitude right from the beginning. Now, it is very, very important to inculcate the right attitude right from the beginning. One of the wrong attitudes that the students quickly pick up is that if they are not excelling in academics, then they need to excel in some other activity. Now, that excelling, not be able to excel in academics, becomes sort of clear to them right after the very first 2 rounds of quizzes. Because after the very first round of quizzes, they realize that although they have worked very hard, they are not topping the class. The topping the class is to them what is meant by excelling in academics. So they realize they're not topping the class, and then they feel, well, okay, since anyway they cannot excel in academics, they should excel in something else. This can be, lead to all kinds of problems. And I'll give you an instance. 2 years ago, when I was taking this undergraduate core course, there was one student who was sitting right in front and who used to, interact and ask some very nice questions in the class. But I noticed also that this student was quite old, in the sense that he was much older than the rest of the students in the class. So initially, I thought that he's probably an M.Tech student who's, auditing an undergraduate course. But later, when I looked at his roll number, it became clear to me that he's not a master's student, but he's a B.Tech student, and who was admitted in the year 2012. So remember, I'm talking about 2018, and here is a student who was admitted in 2012. So after the class, I asked this student as to whether, when did he last take this course, and whether he's a backlog student. That's what I suspected, that he's probably a backlog student. The student replied, no, sir, I'm not a backlog student. I'm taking this course for the very first time. And I asked him as to why he did not take this course earlier. And he replied, sir, earlier I had dropped the semesters. So then I thought, well, probably he's, had some health problems. So I asked him whether he had health problems, and he said, no, sir, I didn't have health problems. But in my very first year, I got into this habit of gaming. And he said that he had got into gaming, and he went on climbing that ladder, the ladder of success in that game. And he said that just a year ago, he had reached the top level of the ladder, and he was declared the champion. He was a champion. Of course, he's talking about the world, the world champion. So he had reached that level, and then he told me that now there was only 2 options: either to quit this and come back, or to continue and lead the rest of his life only into his gaming industry. So that is when probably there was this moment of epiphany for him, and he said, no, he wants to get back to his life that he always wanted to. He wanted to be an engineer, and he got back. And so very brilliant student. The point here is a very brilliant student who was led astray by a wrong attitude. Wrong attitude that if he's not excelling, not topping the class, then he should top somewhere else. This is a wrong attitude. So therefore, it's important to inculcate this right attitude right from the beginning. Now coming to the objectives of the student mentor program, there's one more objective, and that is to quickly identify the problems of the general student community and bring them to the notice of the concerned authority, and subsequently monitor the situations and monitor the problem as per the instructions given by the authority. So the aim here is to detect the problems and solve them at an early stage. In fact, the aim is to ask the student mentors. The student mentor program actually acts as a eyes and ears for the institute. So this is so that the problems can be solved at an early stage. Now come to the objectives of the DM, the Department Academic Mentorship Program. The objective is very clear: to counsel academically weak students who may be in their second year, third year, etc., and help these troubled students cope with academics, extra academics, and personal. Right now, the objective itself is very straightforward. But you see, the mentors in the DM find their job very, very challenging as compared to the job performed by the ISLP mentors, Institute Student Mentor. The reason is because nobody comes with a tag or nobody comes with a badge that is a troubled student. So first challenge is to identify who these troubled students are. And one telltale sign of a troubled student is when the student has a drastic fall in his academic performance. Well, probably this particular student is a troubled student. And when we talk about troubled students, it is not just their academics which has gone off track. It is as if that their life, or it is as if that their routines have gone off track. When these are typically students, the troubled students, typically students who one day may wake up at around 3 in the morning. Second day, they may wake up at around 12 in the morning, just go directly and have lunch in the house. One day, they may get up in time and they may see that there are other students in the hostel who are all preparing to go and attend lectures. They also pick up a book and go and attend lectures. One day, they may see that all their fellow students have gone away to the lectures. There is nobody else left in the hostel. Then they are quite content to go and sit in the lounge and while away their time. So some days they get up early so that they have breakfast. Some days, well, they just go directly and have their lunch. If they feel like, they may attend the afternoon labs. If not, they are sitting in the hostels. And in the evening, on some evenings, they may see them playing on the ground. Some evenings, they are quite content sitting in their rooms and watching some movies. Some days they may sleep early, some days they may sleep very late. So these are what has happened in some of these college students. In fact, it's not just the academics, it's their routines which have gone off track. So when these students used to approach Professor Narayan, I talked about Professor Narayan, who had made these efforts to put the DAMP in place. So when they used to approach Professor Narayan would first give them a small book and ask them to maintain a diary. And in that diary, they had to make a note as to what time they got up, whether they had the breakfast, what lectures they attended, what they did in the afternoon, what activities that they performed in the evening, and what time they went to bed. So this diary had to be maintained, and next time when the students would approach Professor Narayan would demand to see this diary. Professor Narayan was not so much interested in seeing what has been written in that diary. Professor Narayan was more interested in how meticulously this diary was written. Because more meticulously this diary is written, it indicated to Professor Narayan that this is a student who is trying to get his routine back on track. And once the routine comes back on track, believe me, it is not that difficult to bring the academics back. So in order to pursue, Professor Gadre, please feel free anytime if you would like to add anything. I could just stop. I
think it's going very well. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah,
sure. Yes. Now, in order to pursue these objectives, these are the objectives of the student mentor program. And in order to pursue these objectives, we carefully identify.
Of course, Professor, maybe we can also, invite questions on the way. If anybody has, you're most welcome to put in questions even on the way. You don't have to wait until the end.
Absolutely,
so
yes.
Yeah, please. You can just unmute and ask. There is no problem.
Yes. So please feel free to unmute and ask any questions. Now, in order to pursue these objectives, we carefully identify anchors for all the new entrants. These anchors are our senior students, call them student mentors, student companions, and who have the authority to pursue this mission of student mentor program or student companion program, as the case will be. Now, our student mentors, they are respected. They have respected in the student community. They are respected, well-balanced senior students. They are positive role models, good role models, provide sound advice without any bias. And most importantly, our mentors possess two qualities: the quality of empathy and quality of humility. The quality of empathy is required to understand the situation of the mentees, put themselves in the shoes of the mentees, and look at the problem through the eyes of the mentees. And this will help them to build a rapport with their mentees. The second quality is humility. Humility to be humble enough so as not to trust their own personal views, not to trust the personal views of the mentor, right? Their opinions, their value judgments on to their mentees. So two very important qualities that our student mentors possess: empathy and humility. And our student mentors are also capable of instilling ethics in their mentees. That is why extreme care, extreme precautions taken to ensure that the applicant to the mentor's position, himself or herself, does not indulge in any unethical acts. Because after all, the mentees are looking up to the mentors, and if they find that the mentor himself or herself is indulging in unethical acts, then these mentees will also copy and will also indulge in unethical acts. So that's why Professor Gadre has a very, very nice way of putting this. Professor Gadre says that our student mentor program is like a glass house, and one pebble thrown at the glass house can lead to the glass house crumbling down. So here also, one is very important that each one of the mentors who is part of the mentor program upholds very high standards. Now, our student mentors have significant achievements in academics and co-curricular activities. Now, having said this, please remember, we do not have any CPI criteria for selecting applicants to the mentor's position. In fact, we want a mentor who himself or herself is academically inclined and capable of persuading others also to be academically inclined. In fact, if we have a mentor who at some point had a dip in his academic performance and was successfully overcome those problems, and now whose academic performance is on the rise, such a mentor would, such a applicant would perhaps make a good mentor, because the person would be able to, impress on his mentees not to repeat the same kind of mistakes that he had made earlier. Now, what is the structure of student mentor program? And the reason I'm going through the structure, etc., the selection of mentors, etc., is because it will give you an idea. It will give you a overall view of what the student mentor program is. Now, coming to the structure, the ISNP team, which mentors the new entrants into our BTech program, it's led by 2 or 3 student mentor coordinators who are really the final year students. Of course, they have the experience and proven credentials. I'll tell you in a minute as to what you're looking for when you are looking at the applicant for this mentor coordinator position. Then the 2 or 3 mentor coordinators are ably supported by about 6 mentors who actually form some kind of a cabinet. And this is the cabinet that helps the mentor coordinators in planning and executing the various activities throughout the year. And this mentor cabinet is in turn supported by about 80 to 90 student mentors, each student mentor mentoring about 12 to 14 freshmen. If you look at the ISCP team, which is the Institute Student Companion Program team, which is for the new entrants into the master's program, this team is also led by 2 or 3 overall coordinators. These are senior students with experience and credentials. They are supported by department coordinators in all the 23 academic units of the institute. And in turn, they are supported by a very large team of about 190 student companions. Each student companion may be mentoring or may provide companionship to a maximum of about 7 new entrants in their own discipline as well as in their own specialization. The reason I'm giving you these numbers is because please see that the teams of about 80 ISNP mentors and about 190 student companions, it covers the entire batch of new entrants. So we're really talking about, let's say, about 300 students, 300 student mentors and companions, 300 students who are respected among the student community. And this group of student mentors and companions have a deep outreach into the community of India. So that they are in touch with the grassroots. And that is why we believe that the ISNP and the ISCP teams have the potential to positively impact an entire batch of new entrants to the institute, both at the undergraduate level as well as the postgraduate. Now, coming to the team selection, just again, quickly to tell you kind of care that you take in selecting these students. We are talking about the overall coordinators. The overall coordinators are the ones who are responsible for executing this program in that particular academic year. First, applications are sought and these applications are scrutinized and a peer review is conducted, all by the outgoing overall coordinators. So this is done by the outgoing overall coordinators, and then the outgoing overall coordinators conduct an interview and they give a very confidential report. They give a confidential report as to what are the strengths and weaknesses of these applicants who have applied for this post of overall coordinators and whom they would recommend for this position of overall coordinators. This report is submitted to the panel, and this is a panel that consists of the deans, the counselors, Professor Gadre and myself, and we interviewed all these students who are whose applications who are eligible for the post of overall coordinators. And then, based on the recommendation of this panel, the director approves the names of the overall coordinators of the student mentor program. Now, you may ask as to why it is going up to the director's level. This is because the overall coordinators of these student mentor programs, they are invitee members to the Senate. And as invitee members to the Senate, they can positively influence our academic programs, our academic policies. So that is why it's extremely important that these names of the overall coordinators is now approved by the director. So what is it that we look for in a mentor coordinator? Well, ability to work well. Well, no, actually, even before ability to work well, first of all, they need to build their team. It is the team, the entire team that we're talking about, 80, 90 mentors, 190 companions. This team is made or built entirely by the overall coordinators. First, they need to build a team, then they need to work well in that team and get the work done through the academic year. They need to uphold, of course, high ethical standards. They should possess this crisis management skills and presence of mind, especially when there is a difficulty, there is a mentee who is calling late in the night and seeking some help. Well, they should have this presence of mind and they should be able to manage that crisis. Ability to deal with sensitive issues. Yes, a few years back, we had issues related to LGBTQ, and I was very happy to see how maturely these mentor coordinators were able to handle that issue. Then, of course, they need to be creative, innovative, and willing to take up new initiatives. Now, what about the student mentors? Well, again, the selection procedure involves 4 stages. One is the scrutiny, which is done by the overall coordinators. Then they review the recommendations from the mentee, outgoing mentors. Then obtain peer reviews for all those applicants, and then conduct the interviews. Our overall coordinators spend considerable amount of time. They put in a lot of effort, considerable amount of time in conducting these interviews. And I'm not surprised that they spend something like more than 300 hours interviewing the applicants for the post of the mentors in this ISM report. Now, how do we assess an applicant? Now, to be able to assess an applicant, we should actually be clear in our mind as to what is meant by mentoring, right? And I just put down what is meant by mentoring, what we believe mentoring is. Mentoring, we think, is a process. It is not an activity or set of activities that you perform throughout the year, but it is a continuous process of walking along beside. Walking along beside is a very nice phrase, and walking along beside means that you are making yourself available to the mentee. You're making your time available to the mentee in order to, help the mentee. In order to help the mentee achieve his or her potential. Whose potential? Not the mentor's potential, but in order to help the mentee achieve the mentee's potential. Many a time, the mentor is more accomplished than the mentee. But there are times where the mentee himself or herself may be more accomplished than the mentor. In fact, a few years ago, I had a situation where a mentor came to me and said that he wants to discuss about his mentee. Usually when mentors come to me and say that they want to discuss about their mentee, it is usually some kind of a complaint saying that, well, okay, sir, my mentee is good, but the problem is the mentee does not listen to me. Or saying that, well, I wish my mentee would spend more time studying rather than indulging in all other activities. Now, but this particular mentor, when he came to me, he said, sir, my mentee is very good. And in fact, he's extremely intelligent. In his very first semester, this particular mentor of mine had almost A grades in all the subjects. It's only in one subject, I think he had less than an AA or maybe an AB. And as a result, he had an SPI, which is the same as a CPI in the first semester, something like 9.9. So I said, okay, then what is the problem? Well, he said, so the problem is that in my very first semester, I was able to obtain a SPI of 27.5. So he said, do you think I should be a mentor for this mentee, or would you like to change his mentor? So that is when I replied to him saying that, a good mentor is the one who helps the mentee achieve the mentee's potential. So you have done a great job. You've done a great job. You help your mentee achieve his potential. He has got a very good SPI. You should continue to mentor this particular student and help the student to achieve a full 10 SPI in the second semester. Right, so this is what it is. Mentoring is a process of walking along beside a mentee, right, in order to inspire that mentee and aim at helping the mentee achieve his or her potential. Now, when we are assessing an applicant for the mentor's position, we have to keep in mind, or we do keep in mind, that mentoring is not really a science. You can't just give some directions and ask people to mentor. In fact, there are many born mentors. And probably we all have probably come across some people like that. Those are the people who understand that the people around them are more important than things. They are the people who are willing to keep aside their things. They are the people who are willing to keep aside whatever activities that they are doing, keep aside those activities and go and help a person who is in need. So this is an understanding. So mentoring is an art, and understanding that people are more important than things is quite very important. Second thing we need to keep in mind that mentoring is not an ego game. In fact, if a mentor keeps projecting his self-importance, well, then it is self-defeating. Because if a person goes on, projecting his own importance, and he's not going to be an effective mentor. And because of a mentoring program has achieved a certain level of maturity, students look up to the mentoring program. And when the students look up to the mentoring program, the applicants to the position of the mentor think that this is a very glamorous. But we need to encourage some of these applicants to the position of a mentor by saying that, look, this is not a glamorous role, but this is a position of responsibility. Mentoring also means setting aside desires. Desires such as, well, I wish my mentee listens to me more often. I wish my mentee would take my advice to heart. Well, actually, we're not talking about desires. A good mentor should be one who should be willing to work with people as they are and not as they would like them to be. Then, of course, it's important to be patient and realize that it takes time to bring people around to new points of view. People are not going to change overnight just because you have asked them to change overnight. Now, that's not going to happen. Right? And mentoring is service. Mentoring is selfless service, service to the community. Right? So we need to impress upon the applicant that mentoring is more than just a job. So how do we prepare a mentor? Well, we prepare a mentor. Okay, I think I'll go over things a little quickly because I think Professor Gadre, we seem to have just about 10 minutes now left. Okay, I'll just tell you, well, in order to prepare a mentor, we offer some tips in the beginning. And later on, I'll tell you that there is a training program also for the mentors. But the tips that we offer in the beginning is, okay, develop and sustain trust with the mentee. And just because we tell them develop and sustain trust, that's not going to happen overnight. The mentors need to establish a line of communication, and for that, they need to be consistent and keep their promises. If they have promised to meet the mentee at an appointed time, at an appointed place, it's very important that the mentor himself is present at the appointed time and appointed place. And whatever transpires between a mentor and a mentee needs to stay in confidence, because the moment the mentee realizes the mentor is going around telling other people about his mentee, the mentee will simply clam up, and then there will not be any further mentoring. So these are some of the things, some of the tips that we offer. Second tip is to be a friend. Mentors should not just be a substitute parent or a guardian or an authority figure, but in fact, they should focus on establishing a bond of warm friendship with the mentee. And the third tip is to be positive. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow again, the sun is going to rise in the east, and things will work out for the better. So that is the optimistic attitude that the mentor should project towards his mentee. And last and the most important tip that we give to the mentor is that to enjoy the role as a mentor and not look upon mentoring process as a burden, because this is this is what he's going to enjoy, and enjoy all the activities that he does through the academic year. Okay, expectations from a mentor. Well, we expect the mentor to ensure that the mentee adjusts quickly and comfortably to the life at IIT Bombay. At the same time, we tell the mentee, look, you need to establish a close rapport with your mentor. So it's not just one-sided. We have to tell the mentee also that they should establish a close rapport with their mentor. Mentor should help the mentee in overcoming any social problems and expected to demonstrate a caring demeanor to the students. But at the same time, we tell the mentee, you should be independent. You should try and become independent and self-reliant and not overtly become dependent on your mentor. Mentor can help the mentee with difficulties, but we tell the mentee also that, look, do not expect your mentor to teach. Mentors are not expected to teach, but however, the mentor can help you, can guide you and help you on how to go about seeking appropriate help. Mentor would also act on any complaint of misbehavior by any senior. Of course, we tell the mentee that institute has got very strict policies against ragging, and we need not be worried on that front. Mentor should also ensure no activity is forced upon the mentee against his or her will. But at the same time, we tell the mentee, if your participation in sports or cultural activity will actually benefit you, then the mentor may in fact persuade you to take part in some of these social and cultural or sports activities. Mentor will identify and clear any misconceptions, these wrong attitudes that the mentee may develop. So we tell the mentee that mentors are positive influences. They inspire and inculcate good values and ethics. So we tell this to the mentee. Mentor is also expected to guide the mentee in applying for any financial assistance. At the same time, we tell the mentees that mentees will maintain confidentiality and professionalism at all times. Mentors will guide the mentees through the process of course registration. That is during the initial period when they have just come to the institute. But we tell the mentee that, look, the mentors are doing all this so that you may utilize your time in a very productive manner, not in a wasteful manner. So you should utilize your time in a productive manner and enhance the learning experience at IIT. And when and where to meet the mentor, well, we leave it to the mentee's discretion. Of course, mentor on his own would also try and meet personally the mentees during the first few weeks of the semester, the first round of quizzes, before the mid-sem, before the end-sem, etc. Then our mentors are actually our senior students who volunteer their time to the student mentor program. And we tell the mentees' parents also, they are invited to discuss their ward's performance with the mentors. Now, yes, this is what I said. Initially, of course, we offer some tips to the mentors, but later on, there is also a training program that is for the mentors. The training program involves skills, basic skills for counseling and support, and also to identify if their mentees are suffering from any kind of a psychological problem. So this is the kind of a training program. It's a powerful training program developed by our student counseling services at IIT Bombay, and along with the collaboration with Tata Institute of Social Sciences. It's a very powerful program. It is a 2-day program. On day one, the models of how you help the mentees is discussed. What is empathy and how you develop empathy is discussed later. Then how do you develop listening and attending skills? Listening and attending skills is very important in order to build a rapport with the mentees. And how do you read non-verbal cues that the mentee may be giving you, and also how to ask open-ended, non-judgmental questions. Right? So questioning skills. So that is also taught on day one. Day two, some case studies are taken up, and a demonstration is given as to how to go about solving those problems faced by the students. Then the confidentiality between the mentor and the mentee. When do you maintain confidentiality? When do you break the confidentiality? These are things that are discussed. Then the various referral mechanisms and setting boundaries are discussed. And last and very important, self-care for mentors. When mentors become too much involved with the emotional health of their mentees, it also begins to start affecting them. And therefore, it is very important that the mentor should also take care of their own emotional health at the same time when they are dealing with a very anxious mentee. So this is one very important session during the training program. Now, at the end of the semester or end of the tenure, we do assess every mentor. We want to know how this mentor has performed. So therefore, there is a feedback that is taken from the mentees, and ask questions such as these are asked. Were you satisfied with the frequency of your mentor meets? Well, you see a large number of students are quite satisfied. Did you find the advice given by your mentor helpful? Again, we see a large 80% satisfied with the advice given by the mentor. Did your DR mentor help you in solving academic problems? Did your DR mentor help you in solving personal problems? And you can see that by and large, the students are happy. It, of course, varies from department to department. Then how did you find your mentor's advice? Useful, not useful? Well, large number of people find it useful. Mentor made a positive impact on your life? Yes, 97% say yes. Did you find the program helpful? The answer is again yes. Mentor has made a positive difference to your stay here on campus. Again, large percentage says yes, because mentors have made a positive difference. Do you think you are going to stay in touch with your mentor? This is a very interesting question. Are you going to stay in touch with your mentor after the mentoring program? That is, after the first year, in which, you know, after the tenure of the mentor gets over, are you still going to stay in touch with the mentor? Well, a large 83% say yes. So that is very heartening to know that the mentor has really made an impact on the life or on the thinking of the mentee. Would you recommend your mentor for future mentorship roles? Well, again, large percentage means that the mentor has done a very good job. Did your student companion stay in touch with you throughout the year? Many of them say yes. Okay, now in all these things, we are talking about benefits to the mentee. Did the mentor also benefit in any way? Well, initially, when we ask as to why they want to take on the mentoring roles, the students say, well, sir, we want to take on a position of responsibility, and we know that at the end of the tenure, we are going to get a certificate. Well, you don't blame them for that. At that age, of course, that is very important to them. But when we come towards the end of the tenure, and again ask this question to the mentor as to, you know, how did this mentorship program help you? Not the mentee, I'm talking about the mentors. How did it help you? The students say, well, they give a very different answer. They say, sir, it was a very good opportunity. It's a very good opportunity for what? To inspire the development, the intellectual and emotional development of a mentee. So he's now thinking as to what contributions he has made in the lives of a mentee. Some of them say that, well, sir, it gave us an opportunity to share our life experiences as well as expertise with the mentees. Initially, they say, sir, initially, I did not think that my mentee was interested in me at all. But as the semester progressed, as the academic year progressed, I realized that the mentee was looking at everything very carefully. What I did, how I thought, everything was looking at it very carefully. And that is when I realized that he wants to develop his life also along a similar path as my own. Then, of course, biggest benefit of being a mentor is the joy that it gives you, the joy that you derive at the end of your tenure. And you obtain that joy when you see these heartfelt thanks given by your mentees. And I'll read out some of them because they're really an eye-opener. For me also, it was an eye-opener. These notes are all given in confidence by the mentees. One says, a big thank you. He helped me a lot, just like an elder brother to me, guided me very well to get accustomed to this environment. God bless him, and may he get whatever he wants. Another says, thanks for being a great example. I hope I can be like you someday. So when I read this, I know that here is a mentee, here is a first year student, and I'm very sure that within 3 years, he's going to come back as a mentor and he's going to develop into a great mentor because he has realized what his mentor has done for him, and I'm sure he's going to go a step further. And this is how this mentoring program itself has gone from strength to strength. Every year it has been going from strength to strength. Greatest of all time mentor, he's been very helpful. Big thanks to the mentorship program. She's best mentor one can ever get. One of the best people I met in the institute. Keep up the noble work. I think that's no pun. Nobel is spelled Nobel. I'm sure it is on purpose. She's a helpful, responsible person. She takes interest in our problems. She's very helpful. Her insight was quite helpful and helped me make informed decisions. She did a superb job. Should actually be getting an 80 grade in mentorship course, well, if it exists. And then I wish I can blow this picture up because I would like you to look at these faces. And in fact, right in front, of course, you will see me and Professor Gadre sitting there. But we are surrounded by the mentors who have just completed their term. And if I could blow up these pictures, you would see that the joy that is emanating from every face. The students have just finished their jobs. They have got these thank you notes from their mentees, and there is so much of joy that is coming out from their faces. So this is the biggest benefit. If you ask me what's the benefit for the mentors, well, this is the biggest benefit that they have done a great job, and it has been well appreciated not only by the mentees but also by the institute. Okay, now my just 1 or 2 points. I think I'll close Prof. I know I'm getting a little going beyond my time. 2 more minutes. How does the institute view this student mentor program? The institute reposes great amount of faith and confidence in the student mentor. You know, conducting the institute orientation programs, when guidelines had to be framed to conduct the institute orientation program, the institute sought the help of the overall coordinators of the student mentor program and asked them to frame these guidelines. You know, several examples I can give you where the institute has reposed a lot of faith and confidence in the student mentors. A second instance, when the students were asked to draft a honor code, because again, the responsibility again fell on these student mentors who were asked to draft this honor code for the students. A year back, I think it was a year back, when the Senate was discussing running the academic rehabilitation program, the Senate, you know, envisaged a very important role for the student mentors in the academic rehabilitation. See, this is all some kind of a recognition that the institute is giving to the mentors in the student mentor. A few years back, when supernumerary seats were established for women students on campus, the institute wanted to set up a task force, and a task force of women mentors was set up. They were responsible for creating a website, giving information to the prospective women candidates, and also to counsel the prospective women candidates. So these are all instances where the institute, you know, gives institute reposes a lot of faith and confidence in the student mentor. Okay, this is about the website. I will skip this. And please also note, yes, about overall coordinators, they are invitee members to the Senate, and as invitee members to the Senate, they are also involved, or they also participate in policy making. Now, external linkages. You know, a good idea like this, we feel, should not just remain confined to our campus. In fact, Professor Gadre has been saying this, that we should actually spread this idea of student mentor program to other campuses as well. And this is sort of like, you know, the cross-pollination of ideas. VNIT Nagpur, around the year 2012, they had many unfortunate incidents on their campus. And their counselor, the faculty in charge of counseling, had come over here, and we had, you know, a lot of discussion. They wanted to know more about our student mentor program, and then we visited, and we also told them about the kind of structure that we had in our student mentor program. And since 2013, they are having a very active and a robust student mentor program, and they have a structure which is very similar to our own, but it is adapted to their needs. Yes, a student mentor program which works on one campus cannot be replicated elsewhere. It can only be adopted by the faculty members of that institute. In the previous years also, TQIP workshops were organized by Professor Gadre, and faculty members from other TQIP institutions were also invited. The sessions were held wherein our experiences and learnings were discussed with them. And again, we hope that they would go back to their institute and set up a program which is adapted to their needs. And also efforts have been made to establish a student mentor program at IIT Harvard, and this is a work that is in progress. Now, coming to the future, students these days are under tremendous stress. I personally feel probably they are under more stress than what we went through when we were undergraduate students on campus. Simply because the competition is high, and also more opportunities are available to them. And the student mentor program is destined to play a very vital role. And this is an observation. I'm not saying this. This is an observation made in the 200th meeting of our Board of Governors of IIT Bombay, that the Institute Student Mentor Program has made substantial strides in the last few years and seems destined to play a vital role in altering the student attitudes, and therefore in enriching the student life here. I think that is my last slide.